The reservation at Harbor and Prime was for 7:30, and I arrived at 7:15 out of habit. It was Mom's 55th birthday. My brother Evan had chosen the most exclusive steakhouse in the city and announced several times that he was paying. I walked in wearing my simple black dress, the one I use for meetings and family dinners because it doesn't ask questions. The hostess smiled. "Miss Blake, good to see you again. Your usual table?" "Family tonight," I said. "Reservation under Mercer, of course." "They're already seated." She led me to a round table in the center of the dining room. Evan sat at the best angle, suit sharp, watch flashing under the light. Mallory, his wife, looked sculpted into her dress. Mom and Dad leaned toward him like gravity favored his side of the table. My sister Tessa and her husband filled out the circle. One chair waited for me. It always did. "Claire," Mom said brightly, "we weren't sure you'd make it. Evan said you might be stuck at work." "I made it work," I said, kissing her cheek. "Happy birthday." Evan lifted a hand for champagne. "We're celebrating properly tonight." The bottle arrived. He inspected the label with exaggerated care, then nodded. Glasses filled. Bubbles rose like tiny alarms. Mallory turned to me, smile polished. "So, Claire, how's the restaurant thing? Still at that Italian place? Still serving tables?" Evan didn't lower his voice. "Northbridge business degree and she carries plates. 30 years old." Tragic. Tessa's mouth twitched. Dad chuckled as if this were harmless encouragement. I smoothed my napkin across my lap. "Embarrassing for whom?" I asked lightly. Before anyone answered, a young server approached. Her eyes lit up when she saw me. "Good evening, Miss Blake. Your usual filet?" "Medium rare." "Medium rare," I said, smiling. "And Miss Blake," she added softly, "thank you. The scholarship you funded means my sister starts culinary school next month." She moved away. The table went very quiet. "Scholarship?" Mom asked. Evan waved a dismissive hand. "Claire tips big to feel important. It's a program," I said evenly. "4 scholarships a year for our staff." "Our?" Mallory echoed. Evan leaned toward me, lowering his voice just enough to pretend discretion. "I'm up for a major promotion. They evaluate everything: network, leadership, image, stability." He gestured vaguely toward me. "A sister who waits tables doesn't help." "So," I said, meeting his eyes, "you want me to quit?" "I want you to upgrade," he replied. "I can get you something respectable. Reception, admin, something that doesn't make people whisper." A shadow fell across the table. A man in a charcoal suit stood beside me, composed and unmistakably important. "Miss Blake?" I rose automatically. "Yes, Adrien Kwan, Nexigrid Technologies." He extended his hand. "I know we're meeting Monday, but I heard you were here and wanted to say hello. We're honored you're considering leading our Series B." The table froze. Evan went rigid. Adrien's gaze flicked to him. "Evan Mercer? Small world. I didn't realize you were Miss Blake's brother." He turned back to me. "Your diligence is famous. Blake Ridge Capital doesn't miss." Dad's fork clicked against his plate. "Blake Ridge," Mom whispered. Adrien smiled politely. "Miss Blake is the managing partner." Silence. Evan's voice came out thin. "Claire, what is he talking about?" "I'm the owner," I said calmly, "of Harbor and Prime, of Bellamara, of the other places you've been using as punchlines." Mallory's smile fractured. Dad blinked as if recalculating everything he thought he knew. "You serve sometimes," Evan said weakly. "I do," I replied. "It keeps me close to the floor, close to the people who make the night work." I glanced toward Lena as she moved confidently between tables. "And yes, Blake Ridge Capital is mine. I started it after turning my first restaurant around and realizing I liked building things more than bragging about them." Mom's hands trembled around her glass. "Why didn't you tell us?" "I tried," I said gently. "You were busy telling a different version of me." Adrien inclined his head. "I'll let you celebrate. See you Monday, Miss Blake." His eyes flicked briefly to Evan. "We'll talk at the office." When he left, the air felt thinner. Evan stared at his plate. "If you tell him about tonight, I'm not here to sabotage you," I said. "My investment decision will be business. Your promotion is about character. That part's on you." The silence that followed wasn't sharp. It was clean. "Mom, reached across the table and took my hand. "We're proud," she whispered, and this time it sounded like learning, not pity. Evan swallowed. "I'm sorry." I nodded once. "The scholarships aren't charity," I said. "They're investment in people who show up." Dinner arrived. I ate slowly, tasting the work behind every bite. By dessert, Evan was asking real questions about margins, about expansion, about what it meant to sit on a board, and I answered them. On Monday, I led an Exagrid Series B with a board seat and culture reviews written directly into the terms. Afterward, I tied on an apron for lunch service at Bellamara because power means nothing if it can't still step onto the floor and touch the people who built it.